Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am a Woo Gapper, and today we're going to talk about how to glow up in 2025 using your natal chart. I did make a short form version of this on TikTok, but if you're here, you want more of the details, so let's get into it. We're going to talk about the 6 steps. We're going to talk about your rising and chart ruler. We're going to talk about building a wardrobe surrounding your dominating energies, and then we're going to talk about finding your flow through using your Mars and your Venus sign, and then finding your purpose with your North Node, MC, and Jupiter. How to handle your shadows using your Saturn, your Lilith, your Chiron, and your Pluto. And then last but not least, knowing your money. So we're going to be talking about your 2nd house and your 8th house rulers. Step 1, rising and chart ruler. I swear down bad by these signs. If we're glowing up, who should we be focusing on? Our rising and our chart ruler. Our rising is who we're becoming. So it only makes sense if we're trying to glow up in 2025 to then focus on our rising signs energy, styles, and pull it together with our chart ruler, which is exactly how we act. So it's very important that we focus on these signs. I personally have a Pinterest where I work on my Saturn and Mars work. I put a lot of inspiration in there, and I've also done the research on Capricorn energy, Aries energy. I also pay attention to what's in my 10th house and what's in my 1st house because I think it's very important. Obviously, what's in my 1st house is Capricorn and what's in my 10th house is Libra. I also pay attention to my Mars sign and my MC. I've done extensive research on my Saturn sign, and I can tell why that's my karma, what I've been going through. It's really important to focus on these signs if you're looking to glow up in 2025, building a wardrobe around it, doing the research on those signs so that you can start embodying that energy in a way that makes you feel more attuned to who you're becoming and not feel like you're a baby deer anymore. Let's talk about number 2, which is building your wardrobe around your dominating energies. Building a wardrobe around your dominating energies is actually very important for you because you need to look at what you're consisting of. In my big 3, I can see I'm an Aquarius sun, Capricorn rising, Scorpio moon. Chart ruler, Aries, Mars, Scorpio. What it's giving is Saturn, Saturn, Mars, Mars, Mars. Outside of all of that though, there is other things like what sits over my 10th house, what sits in my 8th house, what sits in my 11th house. When I look to the signs I have and the houses that they're representative by, I can start to see what energies are layering on top and then repeating. So it's really important for you to pay attention to the things that are repeating in your chart and the things that are accumulating in your chart, because what I have is Saturn, Mars energy with this layer of dramatic energy and Venusian energy. So everything is very aesthetic around me, but also very dramatic. It's very performative. I love to put myself in front of the camera, but this is in my chart. So it's important for me to then step into that energy. And it also shows me how to step into that energy. With Scorpio over my 11th house, I am meant to step in a way where I am talking about the transformative space, and I do carry a more Martian look to myself because that's just how I best translate, especially on social media. I think it's really important to go on your Pinterest board, to get on Canva and build a wardrobe surrounding these energies. I've done it time and time again for myself, but if you would like to book a reading, we would go through a lookbook where we build out your wardrobe for your dominating energies, and I would even put like color palettes, jewelry ideas, makeup ideas inside of that. You can book a style reading if you want that. If you don't and you know how to do all this stuff, I love to hear it. For step 3, we're going to be finding our flow. I think that the flow is very important. I feel that the divine masculine and feminine of a person is highly important. Not only is it important for you to really do the research on your Venus and your Mars sign, but once you understand how the Venus and Mars signs and your archetype work, then you can start to rest in that way and then take action in that way. We'll list on the screen the Venus signs and how they relax, okay? What they love to relax in, how they love to relax. And then the Mars sign and how they like to take action, how they like to tackle all their things and do all their shit. That way you stop doing things in the same way that everyone else does things. If you want to get more how you're feminine, then it is important for you to look at your Venus sign and your moon sign. If you want to look at how you're masculine, it's important to look at your sun sign and your Mars sign. So once you see the signs, you'll understand through and through if you are more an external person or an internal person. And once you look at the signs, you'll start to see if you're more what your vibe is specifically. If you know your vibe specifically, then you can start to move with more confidence, which is the point in knowing your balance. Knowing your Venus, your Mars sign, and then your sun and your moon sign is about how you move and how you present. If you're masculine through and through, don't feel bad for being ambitious and wanting to attack things and wanting to be creative and wanting to be sexual and wanting to, you know, really do what you need to do. But if you're feminine, don't feel bad that you like to rest and relax and lie about and be pretty. And it's very, very important, but more or less important for action in life and rest in life, okay? We need to release the shame that you didn't do something like somebody else because you are not somebody else. And it's important that once you understand your feminine and masculine archetypes, that you use them with confidence so that you can actually achieve and receive and be open to receiving and attack the things in your life that you want to attack. Let's move into 3. Step 3, we are going to find your purpose, because I don't know how you expect to glow up in 2025 when you don't even know why you're here. If you don't know why you're here and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing and you don't know what works best for you, then you're not going to glow up. You might glow up on the outside, but this section of the video is more about how to glow up on the inside. When it comes to finding your purpose, we need to focus on your North Node, your MC, and your Jupiter. The reason I say this is because your North Node is your highest expression. It is your best self. Your South Node, which is opposite of it, which is always the sister sign of it, is your comfort zone. So we are going to push ourselves out of our comfort zone in 2025 and become our best versions of ourselves. When it comes to your MC, this is your legacy. This is also a very good career position for you, and it's what you're going to be known for. So it's very important to step into your legacy. That's why I say let's focus on our rising sign. We're also going to focus on our legacy, because if you start making those steps towards those things, then you are going to glow up, because you're going to the things that are already meant for you. Your Jupiter sign. Jupiter is just about luck and expansion. If you are looking to be the lucky girl syndrome of 2025 and really stepping into your divinely guided era, you need to step into your Jupiter sign. And your Jupiter sign and house are very important. It shows you what is lucky for you. So what you do is you go to the Jupiter sign and you look at those energies. My Jupiter is in Pisces, so spirituality, the subconscious mind, optimism are good qualities for me. Whereas it's also my 3rd house, so teaching these things is also good for me. Communicating these things is also good for me. When it comes to Jupiter and other signs, I can run through them really quickly. If you take all 3 of those signs and you look at it, you'll see even a pattern or how they play together. If you really know how to marry these energies together, you'll see how they all really tie in together to help make your purpose that much clearer. Okay? Step 5. And this is not going to be anyone's favorite step, but like I said, in 2025, if we're glowing up, we're going from the inside to the outside, okay? With step 5, you cannot skip it, because I find it to be the most important outside of number 4, which is obviously your purpose. For number 5, we are going to be handling our shadows, okay? I think it's very important that we handle our shadows, because you cannot move forward in life if you do not handle the heavier things that you got going on. We are going to be looking at Saturn, Lilith, Chiron, and Pluto. With Saturn, you are simply healing your karma. With Lilith, you are healing your lowest vibrational self. With Chiron, you are taking away your generational wound. And with Pluto, you are healing your shadows. Point blank period, your shadows. This is also Scorpion energy, and that is why it's shadows. When it comes to your Saturn sign, you will realize that this placement needs to be handled, because it is about the karma that's been following you your entire life. So if you look at your Saturn sign and you realize what has been attacking you your whole life, it will free you, because Saturn wants you to get behind the lesson here, okay? This is a lesson that could be following you since you were a child. Mine has been following me since I was a child, because mine sits in the 4th house, and the 4th house is family. It's also ancestral karma having your Saturn sign in the 4th house, okay? I will go through Saturn in the many houses so that you guys can see how maybe your karma has been affecting you your entire life. The house will tell you what, the sign will tell you how. So what do you have karma in, and how do you solve the karma is what the sign is going to tell you. So once you figure that out, you can get rid of your karma. Lilith is your lowest vibrational self, okay? And Lilith is a really interesting one because it's not one to avoid. I think that people try to fearmonger us away from Lilith when Lilith is literally, quite frankly, your low vibrational self. I will put on the screen a very quick description for you guys to screenshot so you can go through and figure out, you know. But I have an example of why you shouldn't avoid your MC or your Lilith sign, because my Lilith is in Scorpio in the 11th house. Now, if I were to avoid my Lilith in Scorpio, there's a few things in my chart that make it very apparent to me that I was only the other person standing in my way, because I also have Pluto in the 12th house, and my luck is in Pisces. 12th house is Pisces house. So not only did I have shadows in the house of my luck, but I also have shadows in the house of my MC, which is my career, my legacy. When I tell you that these show clear, visible signs of standing in your own way and being your own problem, on top of me having Aries in the 4th house. Aries is about self. Even my Saturn in Aries in the 4th house is about self. Everything in my life, all of my shadows, my Lilith, my Chiron, my Pluto, and my Saturn are all about energies that are about me standing in my own way. So by looking at my Lilith in Scorpio, I can see that the lowest vibrational self of me is someone who's power hungry, who doesn't face her shadows, who is you know, possibly merging with people because it's in Scorpio. And Lilith is a very frivolous sign, okay? It's very low vibrational, and Scorpio has to do with having several sexual relations with people. So it would have been very easy for me to continue to escape through my community and be sensual and, you know, just somebody who doesn't go a level deeper and is more or less distracting because she can. It's easy for water signs in general to elude themselves, but when I saw that my Lilith sign sits in the same space as my legacy, I realized that it was about not becoming my lowest vibrational self and understanding that my lowest vibrational self is who I'm up against every single day. And it's important for me to watch her behaviors and be mindful of how Scorpio and Lilith functions. It's important that you pay attention to Lilith, because the last thing you need is to be unaware of your low vibrational self. Becoming aware of your low vibrational self makes it very easy for you to not be them. But if you don't know, it's probably affecting you. Chiron is about being able to suck the poison out of a wound to then help the generation, okay? Chiron through the houses, I will list it on here so that I don't have to talk about it. Chiron is in my 12th house. And because I have Chiron in the 12th house, I know that I was supposed to help teach a generation about how to have control over their mentality, how to have control over their subconscious mind, and understand that it takes genuine trust on top of grit to understand the subconscious mind, because it's in Sagittarius, okay? And a generation of people have Sagittarius and Chiron, but they don't always have the same placement as me or house placement as me, because it changes. So it's important that knowing my Chiron, I now know what it is that I help generations with, and that is the subconscious mind. That is me helping them trust and understand that they can trust and that they can heal. So yeah, that's why it's important for you to suck the poison out of your wound when it comes to Chiron, because you are meant to help teach a generation things. So if you don't suck that poison out, you won't ever see that. For your Pluto sign is important, because the reason people say that you cannot talk about your Pluto sign, the house that resides with your Pluto, people say, oh, I have Pluto in my 1st house, I can't share any of the business about my personality, or I have Pluto in my 5th house, I can't share any personal information about my romances. Oh, I have Pluto in the 8th house, I can't share any information about my investments. The reason you cannot share things about the house in which Pluto sits is because you have shadows. Pluto's teaching you firsthand. And it's important for you to understand why Pluto's teaching you that. It's much like Saturn, but it's a lot more aggressive and it cares less. Saturn is slow and sits back. It doesn't have a hand in your karma. It's just taking notes from the sidelines. Pluto has a hand, it's pushing things, it's pushing you, and it's creating a lot of intense situations for you to understand the truth about who you are. So deal with your Pluto sign. I will put the Pluto placements sitting in the houses and what that looks like for you. Like, I have Pluto in the 12th house, but it's in Sagittarius, so a lot of people may think that it's crazy that I can share all of this information and not feel like my life is running into shambles. But that's because I already went through my tower moments. My 12th house Pluto put me through 3 different spiritual psychotic episodes. And I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I've had to figure out why. I've had to sit with my mental illness and figure out the nitty-gritty of why don't I have a control over my mental state. I had my first manic episode was LSD induced, and then my second one was because I lost a family member, and the third one I went through was because I pushed myself into it because there was a lot of mental chatter I was going through at the time because I was unaware of, you know, why all these things were happening to me. And I think the lack of understanding, as a Sagittarius 12th house, the lack of understanding bothers me to a T. I'm somebody who has to know what is going on. I have to discover the answer. So when I allowed myself to discover what was going on in here, what this means for me, my subconscious connection to the other side, I started to have a lot of control over myself, and that's why I can speak about it to people, to others, and I can share it because these are the things that were standing in my way for me to be who I am. Because I should be able to express, talk about, and show people my passions because I know it's going to help somebody else. And you shouldn't be afraid of the things that it takes for you to get there, because it does take a lot to become the person you were always meant to be. So it's very, very important that if you're gonna glow up in 2025, that you are very mindful of the shadows that you have, you clock them, you become more aware of it, and that you do something about the things that are attacking you in your life. It's not going to be fixed in one day, but it is a start, and it is important that you start and that you really become the baddie of 2025 by healing your shadows and not just being externally attractive, because that's not what we're about anymore. That is not what we're about. This is about 2025 glow up using astrology. This is esoteric baddie knowledge. Okay, let's move into the 6th house let's move into the 6th step. Because I am a Capricorn rising, you know I had to talk about this one. So this is about knowing your money, because the 2nd house is your immediate funds, whereas the 8th house is more about your investments. We are going to look at the 2nd house. My example for you is to be understanding that the 2nd house is about abundance, immediate funds, okay? My 2nd house is Aquarius. Now you're not going to stop there. You're going to look at your 2nd house, the sign that rules that house. Mine is Aquarius, and then the planet that rules that sign. So Saturn rules Aquarius. I always personally use modern or traditional rulerships. It just works better. It's clear cut. So you'll look at Aquarius and Saturn, and then you'll see that my Aries and Saturn in the 4th house. I'll put it on the screen here, but in 2021 I had a business where I created headgear, and it was like sustainable, very on brand for like my Aquarius vibe, but it was also like specifically for heads, which is Aries. Aries energy is about the heads, and my Capricorn rising, it was a very entrepreneurial moment in my life, and I realized that this was how I wanted to make money back then, and it made me really happy, and I felt like I had finally found like a way to make money that like lit me up. And that's why I'm speaking about this, because my Aries 4th house could also mean I could be a realtor, or I could work from home. But because it's in the 4th house, I felt like clothing is very Cancerian, and fashion is very Cancerian. It reminds me of the illusion, you know? Fashion is the illusion, and that's why I believe that it worked so well for me, because Aries has to do with the head and fashion has to do with Cancer. So as much as so does the home and all of this stuff, I just felt like it was so clearly obvious and what worked for me based on my astrological placement. However, I did move out of the passion I had for it. It made me happy for about like a year and a half, but I started to feel like I wanted to go deeper, and that only makes sense because of my Scorpio MC. I was very in need of something that was more alchemizing, had more depth, because that is exactly what Scorpio is all about. It's about depth. If you're looking for intermediate money, you're probably already doing that. Whatever your second house sign and rulership planet is, and you look in your chart where that rulership planet is, I'm more than positive you're already making money that way. Now, the way I'm deciding to make money now, which is our 8th house is about investments, okay? This is about the long-term money. 8th house for me is ruled by Leo, okay? So my Leo is ruled by the sun. That's my Aquarius 2nd house, okay? So now I'm working on my individuality and teaching people, because my Aquarius is also the 11th house of Scorpio. So it's very important that you look for these patterns, because the rulership of Leo is my sun sign, and my sun sign is the 11th house where my Scorpio MC sits. This transformative but still stylish work is exactly what I am meant to do, and it's my long-term investment. I have been investing in all of the gadgets and all of the gear to make this a career for myself, and it is what's going to take a lot more time for me to make it more lucrative, but it is the thing that I do find myself to do for the rest of my life. I've always wanted to be a spiritual teacher, but I also feel like once you know what your money is and you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing to serve people and invest in yourself wisely, you'll understand what it is that you're really meant to do here with your money and how you're supposed to make money. This is how you glow up. Like, astrology is a very internal thing. It's about you as a person. If you are ready to glow up for real in 2025, this is a jam-packed guide on what you need to focus on to glow up. Yes, I hope you guys like this. If you're really confused about these things and you're not too aware of these things, we can go ahead and do a lookbook for style if that's what you're interested in, or we can go ahead and do a life reading and I can go ahead and break down your chart surrounding your purpose, your shadow. Yeah, I hope you like this, and I want to see you glow up and be the baddie from inside and out in 2025, because this is a 9-year, people, and we are ending everything. We are ending the bullshit, okay?